episode 17, Wessex Ways.
Hey.
Who are you, Paul?
Hi, Hedley. I am Paul Whitewick and I make videos and put them on YouTube, generally about the landscape and stuff. Who are you, Hedley?
I am an aerial landscape photographer. And let's roll the music.
Hey!
Hey!
Tired of that music.
And you're out of focus, Paul. Look at you. Oh, now you're back.
I'm back in. Hey!
You see, this is the weird thing. I'm not even drinking beer tonight. I've got my Silverstone mug and I'm drinking decaf coffee.
Do you specifically drink out of that mug when you've just watched a bit of Grand Prix? Because for the viewers and listeners of this podcast, we're filming this as the qualifying for the Qatar Grand Prix has just finished.
Yeah, I think, well, we had a bit of a chat about this. I think we didn't kind of realise that we're both Formula One fans, and I go back to the Hakkinen days going to the races, and you go back even further.
Well, I've not been to any Grand Prix ever, but I certainly as a very young kid, I think certainly pre 10 years old, so that's 87, we were watching it religiously with the sort of the Nigel Mansell days and all early days, and good memories. I haven't watched the Grand Prix in probably the last 10 years, but now all of a sudden the kids are into it. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that.
Kids are. My kids are into it as well. It's really strange. But, you know, I mean, I used to go, especially in the V10 days, where you could hear the cars 10 miles away and the sound would blast your head off. It's incredible. Yes. Anyway, Wessex Ways, for anyone new, the podcast is about basically the old kingdom of Wessex, and Paul looks over things like canals, disused railways, Roman roads, anything to do with history there, and I talk about sort of the walks that I do there and some of the photography sessions and places that I visit. The format of the podcast, usually we start off with a little roundup on where we've been, what we've done, a few notices, and then Paul waffles about whatever his subject is. And talks about the films that he makes on YouTube. I'm sure that everybody knows Paul. And then we have a little treasure hunt section, pointless little game where Paul tries to narrow down where my subject is. Bizarrely, people seem to like it. And then we round up with a few comments from the previous episode. So we go out on all the main podcast platforms. We also go out on YouTube, and we harvest those comments from the YouTube comment section of the previous podcast.
We gather them in like farmers from the days of old.
We do.
Popping them into our weaved baskets and curate them carefully. So if your comment is good, it will end up in our basket, and we shall read it out to the literally 7 viewers that we've got on this.
Wow, we've gone up. I think we worked out that we do have more people listening in via Spotify and Apple than we do watching on YouTube.
That makes sense. YouTube isn't really a podcasting thing as such, is it? So, but it's it for me and you sat here looking at YouTube figures, because I spend my life looking at YouTube figures. Yeah, we go, oh my God, we haven't got many views on YouTube. But then you think, hang on a minute, flip over to Spotify and Google Play, whatever it is, and Apple. And I think we're getting close to 4 figures, but you know, whatever. It was never there for big numbers. It was always there for me to just waffle, wouldn't it? Really?
We have a loyal listenership for this waffling.
Yeah.
And we do bump into them as well. I have been bumping into people who know the podcast.
Have you? Give me an example, Hedley. Go. Who have you bumped into?
Well, I'll tell you what, how about I do that during my piece later?
Okay.
But I will tell you, my printers, I'll give you 2 though. My printer's father is a listener, so hello. And Sam, who's my walking buddy, Sam. Sam walks a lot on YouTube and Twitter. Yeah, so she listens as well. So hi, Sam. She'll get a mention later as well. So yeah, and someone else. Two people. I want to give a shout out to my brother-in-law Neil as well. Anyway, we're boring people. So, what have you been up to? What have you been up to?
Do you know? I was just trying to. We haven't done a podcast for I reckon 3 or 4 weeks, Hedley. We are bad people.
Yeah.
And I was. Do you know what? Right. It was pre our Wansdyke talk, wasn't it? I say our Wansdyke talk. Alex Langland's amazing talk. I don't know about you, but I found that. Obviously, you found it good. I found it really, really interesting, and it really opened. So context before I waffle on. So for Hedley's Wessex Airscapes a museum piece exhibition is a word I'm looking for, Hedley. For the exhibition, you had a few talks, including Alex Langland's archaeologist and TV presentation, everything incorporating. He did a talk on the Wansdyke. Alluded to the date, didn't he? And what a great talk that was. I think it sold out within like 24 hours, and rightly so.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, I was really inspired by it because I just thought I tend to just look at the landscape and look at one thing, and I forget about the extra context that still applies from all these other eras, from boundaries to everything, all pieces in. And he gave this really eloquent talk on the Wansdyke and split it into sections. And I just thought it made me think that when I'm filming and talking about my one specific subject on that week, it made me think that I really need to sort of start thinking about the context of everything else as well. Yeah, the parish boundaries were really interesting and how he put that all into it. And then I got a bit lost on the whole language because I think he's obviously very, very, I don't know about you, but he's very good at the Old English / Saxon wording, right?
Yeah. Like things like Woden's Dyke and stuff like that. Yes.
But he really went into that. And he, because he was able to read some of these Anglo-Saxon charters, he found some mentions of, as you say, Wansdyke or Woden's Dyke or whatever. He found some of these really quite some distance away from where it was known that the Wansdyke went. So I think down near Lincolnholt, sort of south of Newbury, there's mention of the Wansdyke. And so all of a sudden, because he's got this ability to read an Anglo-Saxon charter and understand it, it sort of helps with your research. And that's one area that I think I need huge improvement on in terms of my own research. But
I just want to add to that because a few days after that talk, I went out with Alex Langlands around different sites in Wiltshire. So we started off at Old Sarum.
Yep.
And I'm actually doing a book cover for him at the moment. So we've got some pictures of Old. Yeah. And then we went off to, what's the, there's a hill fort near there.
Oh, Figsbury.
Anyway,
Figsbury Rings.
Figsbury, that's it, Figsbury Ring. We went there. And then we went up to Wansdyke. We went to Woden's Barrow, which is the Adam's Grave on Walker's Hill.
Yeah.
We went to Knapp Hill and we did some aerial photography there and he showed me what he showed in the talk, the kind of, there's a ledge on the edge of Knapp Hill that connected with the path there. And there was a Roman enclosure there as well as a Neolithic enclosure on top.
Yeah. And
that Roman enclosure, you know, it had lots and lots of different things that he'd mapped out. So we sent the drone up and I've got in some aerial shots of the map that he's got.
Brilliant.
And it was a great day. And the way he reads the landscape when you're there is incredible. We're standing on Adam's grave and he's just pointing. He's like, and he's really animated. He's like, over there, you can see across there. That would have been where they'd have sheep going that way, possibly a market up there. And then you'd have the Romans coming from that way. And he's so animated. And I was more interested in his sort of choreographed dancing than actually even what he was saying. It was incredible. I've got to be so careful. He probably listens to this, but it was a great day out. And what a guy. What a guy.
Oh yeah, it was an inspirational talk without doubt, wasn't it? Really, really good. What else have I been up to? I inadvertently purchased a 30-foot map, which I think you may have seen because it was in one of our videos recently. It wasn't intended to be 30 foot, right? So I wanted to print what was called it was a bit of a mistake. I wanted to print a copy of the Pewtinga table, which is I can't even remember, 7th or 8th century map, which was a copy of a Roman map or an itinerary, a map, but it was a map in essence. And I thought, you know what, it would be really cool if I could print this. So I thought, you know what, forget it. I got a mate who's a printer, so I tapped him up. He told me what he would have charged, and then I paid him a little bit less because he said, I'll do it because I like your videos. I'll do it for a bit cheaper. So he printed off this map, and I said, look, it's only a 15 megabyte file, right? That I could get. The biggest file, the biggest resolution file gets 15 megabytes. I said, but it needs to be 22 foot long because it was 22 foot originally. So how's that going to come out? Is it going to look okay? 15 megabytes to 22 foot. But he said, let me just do like a foot of it and I'll see what it looks like. So he did it and it looked amazing. So I was like, right, okay, do the rest. So he printed it all off for me. So me and Rebecca said, right, yeah, it's going to fit in the garden just, right? So width-wise. So we start rolling it out. And there's loads more, and I'm like, this is longer than 22 foot. Turns out, so he printed this like 30 to 33 foot long. I don't know. He obviously got the resolution, not the resolution wrong, but he got the scale completely wrong. So right now downstairs, I've got a 33-foot map of the Roman Empire, which is great, but I don't know what to do with it because I just thought, I don't know, it's going to end up like, I don't know, it was sitting in my cupboard rolled up. And then one day, me and Rebecca will die, and someone will go, "Oh God, look what this idiot had," and they'll just chuck it away or something. So I think, do you know what?
I'm holding back.
I need to give it to a museum or something. I don't know, but
you see, you're unique, Paul.
I mean, to be fair, it wasn't supposed to be 30 foot long, Hedley. So if that's any mitigating circumstance, I don't know.
Mind you, some of the OS maps, you remember in the car, the fold out map, and they were,
well, they're like 4 foot square, aren't they? Yeah, it's a fair point.
Yeah.
But we don't do that anymore, do we? No one really map reason. We've gone full circle, and I'll make this point in Sunday's video. We've gone full circle, right? So the Romans used itineraries, so lists, because although it's a map, it's not really a map that you'd get out and go, right, where are we going? You'd use it as an itinerary. You'd go, I need to go from that town to that town to that town to that town to that town. Then we went to maps. Then we've now gone back to itineraries. We all use Google Maps, right? Or a sat nav.
Yeah.
That's an itinerary. It's not a map, is it? We're gone are the days when you'd get your 4-foot OS map out, Hedley, and like you say, shove it in your driver's face and I don't know, maybe we've gone full circle in a weird way.
But it's in a way it's good for the convenience, but in a way it's a shame. You go to meet people, and they say, "Oh, which way did you come?" You're like, "I don't know. I just followed Google."
Really good point. And you miss stuff as well, don't you? Because guarantee now, go and get an OS map off your shelf. It would take you 2 seconds to find something you don't know what it is. Even on your local map, you'd go, "Oh, there's an earthwork there, or there's a something there," and you wouldn't know what it was. Anybody could do that, and that's what I love about the old OS maps is you can just like lose yourself in the landscape. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? I think. But
absolutely.
Other than that, Hedley, I've just been doing the usual stuff. We explored the Leinster Canal and all of its wonderful aqueducts. That's coming out in the next couple of weeks. Some really sketchy tunnels, all sorts of.
I've seen some of the pictures. I'm intrigued by that. There's some tunnel pictures that you've been putting on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
It's been quite a while since we've had a good old, like a proper abandoned explorer of an abandoned railway or canal or something. So we've got 2 videos coming up now, which are abandoned canal full of lovely old falling apart stuff. And quite excited to produce those actually. But this Sunday, we've got a video coming out, and it's called, it's called "Everything You Know About Roman Roads Is Wrong." Dun, dun, dun. Sounds a bit clickbait.
Wow,
it is.
You're rewriting history and cutting off Cornwall.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that was good. That was a really good video. I got a bit entranced with that one. It was, I think it was slightly longer than your normal videos, and it told a bit of a story. And I like the fact that you covered every sort of topic that you usually cover. In other words, canals, railways, Roman roads. Everything that you usually. It had a little bit of everything in there, which was good.
The irony of that was, Hedley, though, we missed due to time, we missed the one route that genuinely did cut off Devon and Cornwall. I mentioned it. It was a medieval route called the Mariner's Way or something, and it went from Bude. What's north of Bude? Barnstable. It went from Barnstable down to like Torquay. There's a proper Mariner's route with crosses all the way along it. The old crosses on Dartmoor, all the way across Dartmoor. And I just didn't have time. I'd have to. That's a whole video in itself, I think. So a trip to Dartmoor is on the cards for the Mariner's Way.
Nice. I love Dartmoor. I go there I'm going to go there when I pick my son up at Christmas from Plymouth. Quite cool.
Yeah, of course. There's a lovely few old railways just north of there. We talked about it, didn't we, in a previous podcast? The Princetown.
Yeah, we did.
That's right. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
I've waffled for quite a long time, Hedley. What about you? What have you been up to other than the same stuff?
Well, I'm going to try to cut down my waffling. I mean, it's been a while, and the point is, with the kids back at school, I'm, every other day I'm going somewhere. So I'm not going to read an entire list out, but I have.
Stand back.
But right, today I went again. I'll cover this in the future. I did walk around the Letcombe, so Letcombe Bassett, Letcombe Regis, Letcombe Brook. Went to Segsbury Castle. I've been to Pewsey Downs to do walk there 3 times. So that's a 9-mile walk that I do, including actually a 4th time because of Alex. Went with Sam. Sam walks a lot. Great YouTube channel. I'm not being paid to promote this. And she and we've done 2 walks, actually. We did the Pewsey Downs walk, so Tan Hill, Milk Hill, Adam's Grave, etc. We also did Watership Down, Ladle Hill and White Hill in the rain. That was a really, really good walk. Yeah. We had Patrick's lecture, which was sold out. We had, and so that was on contemporary art, aerial photography and the Wiltshire landscape. We had Alex Langlands doing Wansdyke. We had David Abrams, my equivalent, I suppose. Well, equivalent's not a good word. He's better than me, but aerial photographer, talking about his aerial atlas of Britain at the exhibition. I did Lowbury Hill a couple of times with the Ridgeway. I did a walk around the Chilterns, went to Old Sarum, Wayland Smithy, Ashbury House, Alfred's Castle. Great walk. I want to cover that sometime. Beautiful area there. Charlbury Hill. I did a walk out to Wiltshire, Charlbury Hill along the Ridgeway. Yeah. Charlbury Hill is an interesting topic as well. I went out with David Carson to take some aerial pictures. I'm not going to say where, but of a potential hill fort. So looking at that. And I went to the Isle of Wight. I think I might have covered this actually with my mum and my sister and my eldest son. I don't know if that's before or after the last podcast. And I was on another podcast. I've been unfaithful. I was on I was on the Drone Show, which is a weekly Wednesday night podcast. So there's these 4 drone pilots who look at other people's videos, and and they're really good videos. And every week they have a special guest. And a couple of weeks ago, that was little old me. Cool. So I've got a few notices. So that's everything I've kind of done, really. And I got all of that from my Instagram because that's the only way of finding out. I started a new Facebook group called UK Hill Forts. So it's pretty good. We're up to, I don't know, 70 members at the moment, but if you we've got David Abrams in there as well, so that's quite a catch. Basically people in there posting pictures of hill forts, stories about hill forts, stuff like that's really good. So it's free to join. Just look up UK Hill Forts on Facebook. And if you've got anything to contribute, it'd be nice to have people contributing. And we did another walk around Avebury, the last walk for the exhibition. So after the Bratton Camp, we did Avebury, and that was a really nice day, hot day. Ended up at the chapel in Avebury having a nice drink at the end of it. A very hot day. And there was, I think, 20 of us on that walk. So again, quite well attended. The exhibition's been well attended. It's been really good. Everything we've done, the 3 walks, the 3 talks have been sold out, and as was the private viewing, as you know. So it's just been really good, and I just think I want to give everyone a big thanks for coming along. I don't know how many people who listened to this actually came, but it's great. And I even sitting on Charlbury Hill, and I had my brief moment of Fame where this guy sitting next to me and he's saying, "Is that your drone?" I went, "Yep, that's my drone." He went, "You like drone stuff? You should head over to Devices as an exhibition."
Genius.
Like,
love it.
Yes. So that's that. One light on everything. I think everyone listening to this knows, and by the time people hear this, it's a little bit old news. Sycamore Gap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I had to walk a bit of a tight line because I administer the Ridgeway and Ancient Tracks of Britain and Ireland. I got it right that time. No, UK and Ireland. Yeah, UK and Ireland group on Facebook. And obviously there was a bit of an outpouring about Sycamore Gap, and a lot of people feeling as sick in the mouth as I did about it. But of course, the first rule on the group is etiquette and being polite to each other. And so there were a few F's and C's, and you know, I left the little bastard comments, but anything that had a swear word in, I had to unfortunately delete. Although nodding in agreement a little bit. But that's a real shame, isn't it? It's damaged the wall, apparently, and there's discussions on whether or not it will actually regrow. And I know this is outside of Wessex, but I think everyone listening to this podcast probably had the same feeling, when they heard about it.
It's the bizarrest thing, isn't it? It's such a random act of violence that seems to be aimed at nothing. I mean, I don't know the story behind it, if there is a story behind it yet. Other than this, I say kid, 16, 17-year-old was arrested, decided to chop down one of the most iconic trees in the country.
It wasn't him in the end. He was let go, and they arrested a 60-year-old man.
Really?
So, God. So I'm narrowing it down to disgruntled National Trust employee, or maybe local farmer who disgruntled with something. I don't know.
It's just even if you're disgruntled with the National Trust for whatever reason, you're not harming them. You're harming everybody that has a little bit of themselves in that area, or it's just bizarrest thing.
And it goes beyond that, because that then becomes, in many people's eyes, symbolic of broken Britain, etc., etc. And and it's a shame, because it was so iconic, but then you think about it, it's also so fragile. I mean, anyone with a chainsaw could have cut it down, and if it grew shoots again, they could easily be cut down. And it just shows how things that used to be fragile, or things that are there that are fragile, just don't seem to be safe anymore. We had the pub in Birmingham, the leaning pub thing. The wonky pub. I went there it was great. I went there for a drink, and I felt drunk as soon as I got in it, because everything's leaning. But to see that go up in flames, it burnt down, and then got demolished, and it just seems that, I don't know, maybe it's me getting old, but nothing seems sacred nowadays.
I quite agree, Hedley. Yeah, quite agree. It's the bizarrest bit of news I think we've seen in years. And trying to fathom a reason in anyone's head why you do that. It's not a spur of the moment thing. It's not a crime of passion. It's just a premeditated act of madness, really. But sad times. Sad times. But there you go.
Right. So what we'll do now, we will go to whatever you're going to talk about, then we do the treasure hunt and what I'm going to talk about, and then at the end we will read out some comments from people who have been viewing on the YouTube.
That sounds good to me. I normally kind of want to sit and waffle about a video that I've done, and the kind of the behind the scenes about it, and the extra bits, because I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to start the podcast, is because I thought, wouldn't it be good to be able to talk more on a subject? Because when you do a video, it's got to be 12 to 15 minutes or whatever. And you, as you said, you chop bits apart to try and squeeze them all in. Last week's video was longer, but my goodness me, it started at 50 minutes before I started editing that. Got it down to under 20 minutes just. And I thought this week I'll mix it up. Because do you remember a couple of weeks ago, Hedley, we were... somebody put a picture online. Tim Dorr put a picture of potential henge, and in me and Tim Dorr were talking about, and you as well, we're talking about this henge, wherever it was, and you said something like, "Oh, I can see a Whitewick video hatching as we speak, and something like that. I thought, oh, that's really cool. And I thought, do you know what?
The birth of a Whitewick video.
So I want to talk about the birth of a Whitewick video right now. Because today I was looking at milestones, right? Because in a video a few weeks back, we found a few milestones on Salisbury Plain. There's an old route called the Old Slow Coach that went across Salisbury Plain, and we found a couple of milestones. It was great. Obviously, they're from like, I don't know, 1760 or something like that. And they're lovely because you can still see Sarum and you can still see Bath on them, and then you can see the mileage in Roman numerals, which is great. And then I'm kind of thinking, do you know what? I keep coming across things which talk about Roman milestones. And I'm kind of thinking, oh, I really want to do a video on it. And what would I call it? And I think I'd call it, I found a Roman milestone or something like that. And I just thought, right, let's do a bit of research. Is it possible to go out there with a lot of knowledge in your head that you've studied where the centres were, where milestones have been found, where if I said to you, right, Hedley, go and find a Roman milestone, what research are you going to do to give you your best guess at a few locations? And I kind of thought, you know what? So today I've been doing that, and I've been trying to research, right, where have Roman milestones been found? What's their purpose? And some of the stuff that's just come across is just amazing. The end goal is, oh my goodness me, that would be impossible, close to impossible, for countless different reasons. So that's not, I'm not going to find a Roman milestone. It's like a 1 in a million chance of doing that. But I just thought, you know what? It's got legs as a video because it's fascinating. So just to give it a little bit of like history in the context of this. So a Roman milestone were supposedly placed every Roman mile, which is 1,000 milli, or a milli meaning 1,000, which is like a double pace of a Roman march, or whatever you want to call it. And that was 1,618 yards. Obviously, that a mile is different to now. It's like 150 yards more. And there's so many little quirks and facts that I didn't realise. So bear in mind, the Romans came here in 43 AD. Of the milestones that have been found in this country, I think there's around 100 that have been found at some point in this country. And you can say, presuming you can read them. So let me get myself right. 20 of those 100, so 20%, 20 of them are illegible. You can't read them. So you can almost put those to one side. The remaining 80 don't date before Hadrian's Wall. So roughly, 118, 120 AD. So every Roman milestone that's been found dates to after Hadrian's Wall. So you could almost say, well, the Emperor Hadrian introduced Roman milestones in Britain, potentially, unless someone goes out and finds one that's dated earlier. But that hasn't been done yet. So from Hadrian to 100 years later, only 5 milestones have been found that date from Hadrian 120 AD to 220 AD. Only 5 Roman milestones in this country, which is crazy. And then you can split that down over the next sort of a couple of hundred years, where let's say from 2009 to 2035, 3 have been discovered. I'll wrap this up because this sounds really boring. But from 2035 to 2068, 20 were found. And in the next 50 years after that, another 20 were found. So it's quite a cluster. So in the sort of the 3rd century, from 2030 to 300 AD, the majority were found, dated, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fascinating. So, what else have I got written down that would be of interest? So, of those 80 in this country that you can read, so 80 milestones that you can read. Let me get this right. Only 5 of them serve a purpose. Does that make sense? So only 5 of them contain travel information, i.e. 5 miles to Bath, 5 miles to Silchester, or whatever it was called at the time, or in Latin. The rest of them that have been found are all, let's call it honorific. So it's Emperor Hadrian, the greatest emperor of all time, blah blah blah, and then they may have contained mileage along the bottom, but it was probably scraped off. So probably 90% of milestones that are found in this country are not milestones, because they're basically like us now saying God save the king and putting a poster up or something, which people would do, which is fine. So it would help the Romans potentially let them know who their leader was. You imagine you're approaching a town, or you're approaching the next civilization where you're going to stop for the night, and all you've got is Emperor Hadrian. Well, on that journey, my goodness me, you know who the leader is. You know who the leader is, because that's all they're contained. So, So basically, the fact that pertains to that is, here we go. So no Roman milestone that was erected after the 3rd century Emperor Floranius included any travel details whatsoever. So the vast majority of these were all just propaganda. Not propaganda. Propaganda is the wrong word, isn't it?
Yeah, just token. Yeah. Honorific. Yeah.
And you just think, okay, so presumably, let's say this country was covered in milestones, because you presume it would be, maybe not. I assume they've just been robbed out, used for other things. They were all often redone. They were often reshaped. Because at the end of the day, an emperor might last 5 years, so they have to scrape a bit off. I was reading another article I read, had a guess at working out the shape of them, and he came to the conclusion that the more square or slightly rectangular ones were found. Let me get this right, because I don't want to do him an injustice. Some suggested that cylindrical ones were type of road. Yeah, for the main road. So the most of the ones that were cylindrical, as in completely round in shape, were for main roads, and the rectangular ones were for any other reason. Now that fits, because there was one found near my hometown of Andover, about 4 miles north of Andover. That's now currently in Salisbury Museum. And it was an honorific one. There was no mileage on there. It was honorific. Stuck, and it was rectangular, slightly rectangular, shall we say. So there's potential that he's right. The Roman roads, the main publicus circus, or circus publicus, they were cylindrical, and the square ones were just random, stuck anywhere, because the one found near Andover was near a villa. It was obviously marking an old B road, or what do they call it, an actus, like a bridleway, a beast of burden way. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And what else? That's probably all the little random facts. But so I thought, right, okay, how do you find a Roman milestone? So I'm thinking, right, you need to be thinking where the towns were, where any have already been found that were probably in situ where they first started, not broken up and shoved in a hedge, and work out, right, okay, do a mile circle around it, or a 1,618 yard circle around it. And if it fits that it's not in a field or not on a main road, that could be potentially like somewhere that's old and untouched for a long time. Places like Savernake Forest, which haven't been touched in 1,000 years. Places like that where you can have a bit of a route around. I wonder how plausible it would be to find a Roman milestone.
So Roman roads are famous for being straight. Would it be that, you say draw a mile circle, but if roads have corners or kinks or something, would they still be measuring along the road itself?
Yeah, so sorry, what I mean is, find where you would find where one has been found. So point A, get yourself your protractor or your compass and do a round circle and go, okay, well, that way and that way, 1,618 yards, there should be one somewhere on that road. Okay, you're not going to find one there because it looks like it's the middle of a field and it's going to be ploughed to death. Just keep working on that theory, and maybe, just maybe. But don't forget, Hedley, this weekend's video is called "Everything You Know About Roman Roads Is Wrong." So is that last statement correct? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, there could be a twist yet.
There could be a twist. I see what you did there.
There could be a twist. Could be a twist.
So my little fear is I want to find a Roman milestone. It's highly unlikely it's going to happen, but do you know what? What fun looking.
Yeah, but if you could locate like where Chilterns was and stuff like that, maybe that could be a gold mine. I don't know.
Well, you say Chilterns, right?
But makes no difference. Yeah.
At Chilterns, there is something called the Imp Stone. I didn't even know this existed, but an Imp Stone at Chilterns, and it's said to be a Roman boundary stone, right? And someone suggested, well, hang on a minute, how many other Roman boundary stones have been found in this country? 0. None, not one other. So is it actually a milestone that was originally a milestone, scraped down, redone as honorific or boundary-like? I don't know. But yeah, you're right. Plot your centre of Chilterns. Or, mind you, this is a good question. Was it from the centre of a town or was it from the gates? Another question. That's important. Need to know that. So there we go, Hedley. Right. Anyone in the comments want to add to my quest? This is the evolution of a video. I found a Roman milestone, but I haven't found it yet. The evolution. So people in the comments below, how am I going to find a Roman milestone? Is the question. And
you should also offer people in the comments, if the information is used in one of your videos, maybe you could quote them and quote their name. Moment of fame and stuff,
if they're not completely off their rocker, then they can be in the video as well if they really want to be, Hedley. Why not? Chuck them all in. We can have a little crowd turn up. Or is that unwise?
You'd have to be off your rocker.
You'd have to be, yeah, fair play.
Well, I've been there. I've been there.
Hedley, because you're there.
Technically, from the 3 videos of yours I've been in, there's a 33% of injuring yourself if you're in one of Paul's videos.
33.3% recurring chance that Hedley is going to fall over at some point.
Yeah,
we've got one planned. We should tell our viewers, Hedley, we've got a video planned, haven't we? Well, we haven't got one planned at all, but we're hatching another little idea for a video. Which we should totally do in the next couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And if you don't fall over, well, your stats go down to 25%.
True. That's true.
If you do fall over, they'll go up to 50.
Well, let's try and get these stats down for me, shall we?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
So I'm done waffling, Hedley. Let the viewers help. Right, how do we find a Roman milestone that no one's found before, no one knows about? Let's do this.
Yeah, I think that's good. And we can use this podcast platform to get assistance on videos as well, because we tend to have viewers and listeners who are fairly knowledgeable about the subjects that we cover, and we do get some interesting comments about the subjects that we cover. And so if there's anything that can help you with one of your videos, then this is one of the good mechanisms to get it. So
it's very I was talking to a friend today. It's very easy for people to think, because I make videos about this, I'm like an expert and I'm an academic and I really know my beans. I don't really. I just love it and I love learning. So I find a subject that interests me and I try and immerse myself in it and try and learn about it. And sometimes people misconstrue that, not in a negative way, but great example, the lovely people at the Roman Road Research Associations think I'm an expert. And they send me people's details. Oh, get in touch with Paul. He's a South correspondent. And I'm like, I'm not. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's nice. But
I'm even more so when I'm in one of your videos, you basically script it so I sound like an expert. I love that. I don't even know what the video's about until I turn up. It's brilliant.
Where's my lines? I'm saying this.
Yeah, exactly. Although I will make an exception for the Source of the Thames video we did, because I think I was the researcher behind that. So I enjoyed that was the best one. I enjoyed that. In fact, people listening, if they want to watch a cool YouTube video filmed in the middle of winter, and we're searching for the actual source of the Thames. Just look on.
There was a lot of
that was freezing cold. Yeah. It was a beautiful day. It was a perfect blue sky. The ground was frosty, and we were looking at 3 different sources, which potentially could be the source of the Thames, rather than Thames Head. And I really, really enjoyed doing that. That was a great video. So yeah, and I was Rebecca.
I've got some good locations planned for our next one, Hedley. a little bit of mild trespassing thrown in there for good measure. It's all there. It's
got everything. Bring it on. Everything. Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on. Every single landowner's just unfollowed us.
Yeah. Is it time I got the map out, Hedley? Is it time I
think it is. This is where you morph into Annika Rice.
Yeah.
Sort of a older bearded version of Annika Rice. And we do a hugely truncated and tedious form of treasure hunt to find out where I'm talking. Yeah. Before we do that, I've actually got to find it myself.
Well, I've just brought a map up I'll describe it for the purpose of the people that are not watching on YouTube. I've parked myself at Marlborough Low Level Station, which is where I'm starting my journey. And I'm probably miles away. I'm not feeling confident, Hedley, so I'm probably miles away.
No. Well, I'm looking at an OS map and online, so Bing Maps, you can get OS interface. Yep. No, you're not near it. No, so
I'm not near it. Okay,
I'm gonna start with cold.
You start with cold. That's fine. Well, I feel like because we've been on a bit of a Roman chat, or I have. Let's leave the site of Cutinio, which is in. Now you look at a map and you pronounce it Mildenhall, but apparently all the yokels pronounce it Minal. So either way, we're going to leave Minal, and we're going to head up the River Kennet direction to the east, along what would have been Roman Road number 4, I think. I'm not even sure. Who knows?
Are you heading towards Hungerford direction?
That's a good question. I think I am east. Yes, I am. Yeah, completely, yeah.
You're marginally warmer.
Marginally. I need to take a big chunk down. I need to take a big. Let me zoom out, Ed. Let me zoom out. Let's keep on the Roman Road because there is a bit of the Roman Road there north of. Oh, look at that! Yeah, there is. Never knew that. Sorry, I'm sidetracked completely, Hedley, by this map. This is a problem with OS maps.
Fine.
Right, I'm zoomed right out. I've zoomed hugely out, and I'm heading towards Reading, Hedley. I'm heading towards Reading.
Oh, wow, that's a big bite. You've gone a long way there.
I have, yeah.
Well, you're a lot warmer. Okay. You are a lot warmer. Yeah.
All right.
So we're at Reading.
Yes.
Famous battle 871 between Saxons and the Danish. Saxons lost.
Did they actually? Ooh, awkward.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if I head north, that would be a good idea.
Oh, wow, it's getting warm.
Okay.
It's getting warm.
I mean, I'm Henley-on-Thames now, don't you know?
Oh, wow, you're I wouldn't say practically on fire, but you're the warmest you've been so far.
All right, this is good. Henley-on-Thames. I've only ever been to Henley-on-Thames once. I was in a pantomime. Long story. Included.
I bet you're. Yeah. Cross-dressing. I was.
Wow.
I was. Well, there's some more listeners gone. I was. I worked in Henley-on-Thames for 10 years for an investment firm.
Oh, now the viewers really are dropping off, Hedley.
I know, but it wasn't investing. I was the. I looked after the disaster recovery and crisis management.
Oh my goodness me!
God, it's boring, isn't it?
How about I wrap it up and told you that my role in the pantomime was to let off a party popper for Angie Best and John Medeski. How about that? Yeah. See, now we've gained.
We're Henley-on-Thames. Henley-on-Thames.
Right, Henley-on-Thames. Let's head north.
You want? Yeah. Okay. Little bit warmer if you're heading north. Yeah.
Oh, little bit warmer.
You got the Oxfordshire Way heading north. Actually, I forgot about that.
I can't see that. Oh, yes, I can. Do I want to stay on that? Shall I stay on the Oxfordshire Way?
I would probably take the Fairmile Road instead.
Where's the Fairmile Road? I don't know this area, Hedley. This is bad. I know nothing of.
Main road out of Henley, going to the northwest.
Northwest. That's the Oxfordshire Way, isn't it? Ooh.
Oh,
the Fairmile. Yes. Right. Okay. Fine. I'm on it. Nettlebed. There's an old railway at Nettlebed.
Ow. Crikey. It's getting warm. You're getting really warm.
Again, I'm going to completely sidetrack. Have you seen in Nettlebed there's an old lime kiln in the middle of a street?
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet.
There was a sinkhole there as well when I used to work. not because of me, but in the woods. So you see where it says, if you zoom out a little bit, it says Old Kiln.
Yes.
Just there, in the woods there was a big sinkhole that appeared. That's useless nettlebed information there.
There we go. I mean, am I keeping on with nettlebed?
Yeah, I would. You're on my commute route now. Yep.
Am I really? You commute that way?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, it makes sense. Yeah.
More picturesque. Yeah.
Is it got anything to do with Grimm's Ditch? To the west of Nettlebed and Nuffield.
Right. Stop.
I've stopped.
You've got there.
Nuffield Common.
Get off.
That wasn't too painful,
yeah.
Was it, Hedley?
That was good. You got there. So Nuffield Common. So I did a walk, and as many of listeners probably would have predicted this because they found out about how these treasure hunts are done, and you haven't yet.
I really haven't.
One day you'll find out, and it'll all be over.
I don't want that to happen, then, Hedley. I'm not going to try.
No, don't try. So I did a walk, Chiltern walk. I've realised that I've been trudging the Ridgeway for years and years and years, but it's very rare that I trudge the Ridgeway through the Chilterns. And the main reason for that is, well, there's two reasons. First of all, I like the openness of the Berkshire Downs, and so it's closer to me. But the other reason is there's a lot of restricted airspace around there.
Oh, is it?
Because of airfields such as Benson. You got an no-fly zone, Benson. So what I did is, for this walk, I wanted a very hilly walk. I wanted the Ridgeway, and the Ridgeway is very different through the Chilterns than it is up until, Ridgeway is basically in two halves. You got the bit from Avebury to about Goring, and then which is the sort of the ancient Ridgeway, which follows the line of the hills. It's very open, you can see for miles, and then it changes because at Goring it kind of follows any road or path that it can up and down the sides of the hills through the woods, and a lot of it is not bridleway, it's just footpath, so it means that you can't cycle, you can't go on a horse or anything like that along there. Obviously no motor vehicles. So the Ridgeway is a very different beast when the second half of it going up through the Chilterns. And I've explored bits of it, but I hadn't really done the area that I go the most, actually, because I drive there, this bit here. So if you can find a Nuffield church.
Yep.
Right. So let me start there.
It's a church in Nuffield.
Yeah, I'm just quickly checking. There's no other church. No, it's next to where it says the White House.
Yeah.
So Nuffield Church is a funny little church. I've stopped there on my bike because I used to do like 100-mile bike rides over the Chiltern when I was about 4 or 5 stone lighter. And Nuffield Church was it was close to home. It's the last sort of 15, 16 miles. And so we'd stop there and use the tap to fill the bottles up. And they used to keep biscuits and stuff out in there as well. It's very nice. It's also where, I think it's the church where David Frost was buried. So at his funeral, you had people like Ronnie Corbett, I think Jonathan Ross, I might be wrong on that. But so it's got a bit of a, recent history about it. I've got a little bit about it up here. It's a small Norman church remodeled in the early 14th century when the North Aisle was added, located at one of the highest points in the southern Chilterns, because it is a climb up there on a bike, in uncapped flint with stone dressings. The south arcade is 14th century, and in the north wall are 14th century windows in Norman openings. In 1850, the chancel was restored by Benjamin Ferry, and the windows and piscina are of that date. There are medieval tiles in the chancel. The 15th century roof to the nave has moulded ribs and decorative carved bosses. The cylindrical Norman font is inscribed in Lombardic letters. I didn't just obviously get that all off the top of my head. That is on the Nuffield Holy Trinity website, obviously. I walked from there, and if we look at the map, the Ridgeway is really strange here. So this is where anyone who's walked the Ridgeway along the Oxfordshire and Wiltshire sections in the south, they're not used to this because, as you can see, immediately it crosses Hunter Combe Golf Club. Now, the Ridgeway at this point, as it gets to the golf club, it's a single track path, very narrow. And then when you get to the golf club, you're crossing basically 3 fairways and a driving range. Yeah. Now, I think here that the footpath has priority over the golfers. There go a load more listeners.
I'd say you're right, though, surely.
I don't know. But what you do is the footpath disappears and you're just presented with the golf course. Yeah. And so what happens is you have, instead of following a footpath, you follow these markers, and they're kind of, I think they're kind of like white posts with a black top, or other way around. I can't remember, but you have to follow one to the other. So you get to the side of one of the ranges and you look across opposite, and when you find the marker, you then got to make your way around bunkers and everything to there. You go through a little bit of woods and then rinse and repeat, basically. Yeah. So it's an interesting bit of the Ridgeway. There's no actual path there, and you come out on the A4130, which is a very busy road, and that's on the scarp of the hill. There's a little lay-by down there where I stop sometimes on the way back from work, just to, because if sort of falling asleep behind the wheel after 15 hours of being out in the morning, and you kind of stop there and get, breath of fresh air. Yeah. But the Ridgeway then goes through a little wood. Now, the problem, you have the first problem here, that this would be the ideal autumn and winter walk because of the trees and everything. But it's also, I think you'd have to rule it out completely in late autumn and winter, because the footpath down through this wood and later on becomes really, really steep and slippery.
It does look, absolutely.
Yeah, you've got exposed chalk, you've got mud. The Ridgeway then crosses two fields separated by the Chiltern Way in the middle. So the Chiltern Way runs through a line of trees. You go through that, and then you climb up across this field, and then you go up and up and up, and you get to, and the sound of the traffic on the 4130 disappears, and you get to Elm Park, which is a big kind of mansion stroke manor house. Yeah. You've just passed Nuffield Place back there on the right, which is a National Trust property. Great property. Who was it? Is it the guy who started? I should have brought this on the screen. Nuffield Place. Nuffield. This is preparation for you. Nuffield Place. It's National Trust. So accept cookies. Yes. And then it disappears. Here we go. So facilities, blah blah blah. Do you know what? I'm not going to rattle on about Nuffield Place. It's a great place to visit if you've got National Trust membership. What I will say is the bluebells are perfect there when they come up. Yeah. So I was at Elm Park, and the problem here is the Ridgeway is it's kind of bordered on both sides by a fence, and I went through the gate, shut the gate, walked along a bit, and then right in front of me was a big snarling dog, bearing its teeth at me, which is another reason not to do this walk. And it was looking at me, and it did the sort of the ratchet system. If I moved forward a step, it moved forward a step, and if I moved back a step, it moved forward another step. And so I couldn't see this ending well, to be honest with you. And it wasn't a little yappy thing. This was a big, crikey, Doberman, I can't remember what it is, but huge thing. So I did what any normal person would do, and I got my drone out, and because my drone's quite big, and I put it in the air, and the dog stopped growling as soon as the drone was in the air, but it didn't go away, and so I edged the drone forward, and the dog took a step backwards, and so then it was full stick forward, and the dog went off yelping. So anyway, I don't know whose dog that is. Probably lost another listener there. But anyway, and it was great because you could then put the drone up and look at everything from above to make sure there's no dog there, and I could walk through. So the Ridgeway goes through Elm Park, and it goes off to the northeast around Heriot's Plantation and Jacob's Tent. And then you've got a massive downhill through the woods, and you drop, I think, I'm just trying to see on here, 215, 150. So you're dropping about 70, maybe 80 meters down to Collier's Bottom and Ladies Walk there. You turn right to go up to the east, and that takes you to Swinkham House and Swinkham Church, St. Boltoff's Church and Swinkham. Now, St Botolph's Church is absolutely beautiful. It's in the middle of nowhere. So Swinkham is kind of this valley that goes up the scarp of the Chilterns. Yeah. It's a favourite cycling route. A lot of people like to go up Swinkham and down Pish Hill the other side, and I used to do it all the time. It's the other way around from Hedley, cycle up Pish Hill, technically England's longest climb. Okay. In length, and then you can drop down Pish Hill. It's a wonderful place. So St Botolph's Church, it's a 1,000-year-old pilgrim church, situated, say, right adjacent to the Ridgeway Path in a beautiful valley surrounded by fields of sheep in an AONB, and it really is quiet. It is really quiet, and I've got a little bit here about it. I'll try not to rattle too much, but the present church at Swinkham was probably built by Saxon workers under the command of Normans. It's situated on the Ridgeway, once a major road from Avebury in Wiltshire to the flint mines of Norfolk. Just prior to the Norman invasion, the lands around Wallingford, including Swinkham, were in the hands of Wigot, a staller to Edward the Confessor. Once Harold had been defeated at the Battle of Hastings, Wigot allied himself with William as William sought to take control of the rest of England. The stained glass windows on the east side of Swinkham Church shows Abbot Herluini, indicating that in the early years of the church, the stone church there, were strong ties to Bec Abbey. So Bec Abbey was a Benedictine abbey, basically. Right. And yeah, it's great. And the other side of the hills, you've actually got another disused church. I'll talk about that some other time, but that's that's over towards Netherlands. So anyway, the past. Yeah, sorry.
Are we in Oxfordshire?
Yes,
we are. Yeah.
So we're in East Oxfordshire. So then there's a big climb up to meet the Chiltern Way. So if you look at the map, it crosses. Ridgeway crosses the road, which is Church Lane, which is that wonderful cycling climb if you're a road cyclist. It drops down into the middle of a very quiet valley, which in summer I think would be very hot. I think it's quite sheltered there. And then you've got an enormous climb up into the woods and then up to where it says Western End Shore and Dean Wood. So what the walk there at the top, I mean, that really is quite high up there. And the Ridgeway
as well. Interesting.
Well, I'll get to that actually. In fact, no, I'll cover that now. It's similar to Wansdyke. It's a double embankment and ditch that runs along the top of the hill. And in fact, we'll come back to that in a minute. So following the Ridgeway down to Dean Wood, I met two people here. The first person was a listener to this podcast who, after a brief chat, said, "Oh, I listened to Wessex Ways." Didn't catch his name. So, hello, put your name in the comments. And another chap, I was flying the drone there. Now, I'm right against the Benson no-fly zone there, so the drone would only go halfway through that field. But another guy I met up with called Steve, who's a photographer and drone pilot. Seems as if we're breeding somehow. And Steve's great, and we were doing a bit of photography together. Never met him before, but just got on. Over to the right of there, over to the east, you'll see somewhere called Britwell Hill.
Yes.
Now, Britwell Hill is a straight, deep piece of road, and it was used in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the film. And in fact, there is a place nearby called Russell's Water, which is to the south-east, where the pond is from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang as well, where, he drives the car into the water and hugs her and says, like, kiss, and apparently that means you've got to get married. So going back to Britwell Hill, you've got Britwell Hill Farm at the top. I've got a customer up there, a really nice bloke. So follow the Ridgeway down to North Farm. A lovely bit of track there. Now, the Ridgeway does go off to the right there, but since I was so far from the car, I went left. And that takes you into the Icknield Bank Plantation. Yeah. And so I went up, you can see a little path going up towards the open access area above Lower Warren. Now, that bit there seems to be, there's something there. There's earthworks there, and if you look at the contours, it's on the end of a line of hills. I am 99% convinced that was a hill fort, possibly Iron Age, maybe even Bronze Age. And I've looked at the LiDAR of it as well, and sure enough, I think that is actually a hill fort, and it overlooks the villages of Britwell, Salome, and Ewelme, and it's got a very good all-round view. I think you've got to sort of mentally remove the trees that are there. I think it would have been probably no trees there at the time, affording views in every direction. And sure enough, well, you can look to the north all the way up to Watlington Hill and places like that. So I had lunch there, and the views there are fantastic. So anyone who wants to go there, there is a car park at the bottom. It's a very steep walk up through the woods, but crucially, it's a short walk. So, if anyone wants that, if anyone needs us to pinpoint that location, I'm very happy to do that. Yeah. And then I walked back along that earthwork to the east. So this is the one that you pointed out a few minutes ago. And as I say, it seems there's something there. So you've got a double bank and ditch going along the top of sort of this peninsula hill, and then at the end of it, you've got earthworks in a big triangle shape. I did speak to Wendy Morrison about it a while back, who's Hill Fort Hill Fort expert, Dr. Wendy Morrison, and she focuses on the Chilterns. And she looked at it and she thinks, there could be something there, but she wasn't 100% sure. So, and there I basically backtracked the way I came all the way back down to Nuffield Church, and the downs became the ups, and the ups became the downs, basically. So it's a lot of climbing. It's about just under 500 meters of climbing over a walk that's probably no more than about 12, 13 kilometers. So it's a tough old walk, that one. And I don't think I'd want to do it in the winter. But it's given me a bit of inspiration. I mean, we've got the Elevating Wiltshire book out at the moment. So anyone wants to buy a book, look up Elevating Wiltshire. But I'd quite like to do Elevating Chilterns or something like that. I don't know. I'm starting to get a bit of a taste for aerial photography of the Chilterns, and I'm just wondering if I should be doing more of it.
Yeah.
But
I think I wonder if you could combine it with I guess because you've got everything. I mean, there's so many things there. I mean, the Icknield Way is a fascination, I think, in some ways. This huge railway, I made a bit of a video about it. The problem is you've got three obstacles to aerial photography there. You've got RAF bases. Yeah. You've got National Trust places, so all the way along there. So you've got Watlington Hill. You can follow the Ridgeway all the way up to the end. Ivinghoe Beacon is National Trust, so that's out. And then you've also got, there's a prison at Nuffield, and there's lots of stately homes, and obviously you've got Chequers, and it's a bit of a minefield flying there, because the Chilterns there's a lot going on, whereas the Berkshire Downs are all open, and it's a bit easier just to stick the drone up and take some pictures. So, but I'd quite like to do it, and obviously you've got the benefit of the Thames being there as well, so it would be I think there's something there. I'd quite like to do it. Quite like to do it. Yeah. Oh,
and that was my walk. That was my walk.
Lovely. Very nice indeed. Cool. I assume you've got a couple of pics we can all see, Hedley, so we can stick them on for the YouTube viewers.
I got some. Again, flying was limited. I got some pictures of the churches. They came out quite well, so I'll put those. And I got just mobile phone shots of the golf course and where I was for lunch. So people who watch this so far have probably seen those already. But not a problem at all.
Okay, cool. So should we have a quick comment section before we disappear?
Yeah, let's do that. So I've got them here.
Right, I've not got them up, so I'll rely on you, and I shall listen.
I've got them up. So there's a lot of comments. So okay, so let's go through these. So endless_spiral on YouTube. Bless. Thanks for the mention. I find everything you guys do really interesting. Thanks for sharing all with us, doing what you do. Thought we're about to discuss the love of bottoms on here again. Yeah. Okay, so we have up till now we haven't mentioned bottoms. Let's go on. Yeah, Ian Fleming 6027 basically saying, hope you feel better again soon, Paul. You're not drinking beer though, are you? So maybe you're not 100%.
I'm not drinking beer. I don't know why not. I think Rebecca's drunk them. Yeah, Rebecca bought me a bunch and she drunk them. Rude.
Got some outpouring for you again. Hi, Paul and Hedley. Interesting podcast, not as usual. I hope you're feeling better real soon, Paul. I found the Roman mosaics one very interesting. That was good. And thanks for reading out my boring comment again. So there we go. We're getting some. I'm seeing some regulars now. It's brilliant. Have a look. Okay, and Barry Bollard, another regular 1408, saying glad you found the LHR cannon, so Heathrow cannon, and avoided a career-limiting arrest. Yeah, so there's a cannon by the road on the northern perimeter road of Heathrow, and I wanted to go and find it, but I had to warn the police in advance that if they see an obese middle-aged man jumping into a bush, it's nothing malicious. It looks like gun bases could develop into one of Paul's videos. And then he said, regarding Terminal 5, in 2003, BAA produced a short video for schools called An Historical Explanation of the Land Beneath T5. So given its audience, it's a bit superficial, but we have it in BA's film and video archive. So try and get a copy to me, and he did, and it's really good.
Oh, great.
Ian D. Dalton, great Sunday morning watch, sat in the garden with a cup of coffee. Brilliant. Nice one, Ian. He said, did you see the bloodstone on your walk, Hedley? No, I didn't. So this is going back to the Bratton Camp walk.
Oh, yeah.
We were told about it, but we didn't visit it. Okay. Paul is feeling better now. Oh, you people love you.
Thanks, everybody. You're very kind. You're very kind for looking out for my welfare.
Yeah.
Love to you all.
Yeah. Graham Allen, thanks for the tip about the 3D NLS. That is brilliant. The map system, isn't it? Yeah. That is. I had a look at that. So you've got on one side you've got LiDAR, and on the other side you've got like Ordnance Survey, and you can slide it.
No, it gets better than that. It gets better than that.
Really?
Just go to any map layer of an old map on a National Library of Scotland. Have it as a whole page. Yeah. Right. Just one map. Click on 3D. Yeah.
Oh.
Then click on exaggerate, right? And you exaggerate as much as possible. And what you're looking at is an old map, like you would do, but you're looking at it using LiDAR information, right? So you're not looking at the LiDAR, but you are looking at the 3D nature of the LiDAR exaggerated. So you can just fly, you can then tilt it, so you can like literally look at like it. You can sit on the landscape and you can see all these features like a hill fort or a ditch or bank or whatever. It's just wonderful. Yeah. Oh my God, you get lost for hours. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll try that. Malcolm Richardson 3881. He's found it an interesting discussion. He says, given recent revelations elsewhere, it raises the issue of who should take responsibility for the care and cataloguing of historic artifacts, such as prehistoric hill figures and Roman mosaics. What role can or should amateur enthusiasts play?
Yeah, difficult, isn't it? Certainly, Historic England record everything humanly possible, don't they? You can submit things, can't you? But, fascinating, good, interesting discussion that would be.
This is an interesting one. So, Keith M603, many thanks for your YouTubers recommendations last time. So this was WC21 and Sam Walks a Lot.
Yeah.
He says they're fantastic channels.
Yeah.
He says he now subscribes to both of them. And he says any more recommendation of any channels would be appreciated. Okay. And he says actually perhaps invite some of these people onto the show occasionally. So maybe we should reach out to them and see if they want to come on. We haven't had anyone else on yet. We've been trying to get one person on, and none of our schedules seem to tie up.
Well, that's never going to happen, is it? Let's face it. It will. Fingers crossed.
And without revealing their name or anything like that, if you're a local artist that paints my work, Maybe we should try and get this in the diary. Right.
The trouble is, we've got 4 people's diaries we're trying to sync.
I know.
It's hard work.
I know. Yeah. So that's a good point. And I think, again, to put in the comment section, if anyone's got any good recommendations for YouTube channels, obviously Paul, but and myself, I got one too.
Yeah, I mean,
but any recommendations? Yeah, relevant to the stuff we talk about, please let us know in the comments, because then Paul and I can subscribe to them and we can see other people subscribe to them as well. So, Barry Conway, Hedley's been busy at work. He's put, if you know, you know. I think that relates to the Nats outage. Yeah, okay. Regarding scouring the White Horse, I always think it's disappointing that there's not some archaic, locally unique word for this. Maybe have to invent one. Good idea. I like Barry. Chris H5319. Thanks both. Some lovely images, Eddie. Thank you, Chris. I'm off to look up cannon and trig points and benchmarks. Brilliant.
Yeah, gun end of base, everybody. Gun end of base.
Right, interest. So this is Philip Bellew 9645. I know Philip. Interesting chat covering an area I walk a lot, so that'll probably be Bratton, including all those ups and downs. That NLS news has set up a new rabbit hole to disappear down for many hours. Yep. Take care of flying the drone anywhere near Earlstoke, as the prison is trying to stop over the security fence delivery service. Oh, crikey. I hope Paul's bars of doom recede and the COVID goes away. Yes, okay. And I think we'll finish on Stuart Bridger 5177, who says, reference Witchwood beer. Witchwood beer. We're losing Witchwood. The Ruby is the original Hobgoblin rebranded. So just to explain that, I said that how I missed Hobgoblin and I didn't like the new Ruby stuff and the new gold stuff.
Yeah.
But as he's pointed out there, the Ruby stuff is the original Hobgoblin, which is why when I took a swig of it last time, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
So I'd got it wrong before. But unfortunately, they are disappearing. Witchwood are disappearing. Alas, since Marston's basically were acquired by Carlsberg, the brewery, shop, bar have closed and tours are finished. And he says the IPA is pretty decent. So that's really sad. I remember when Old Speckled Hen, we had Moorland in Abingdon, that closed, and all the beers went over to Green King. And they're still nice, but they just don't have that kind of, that local hoppy taste to them anymore. They're a little bit mass produced, and you can't artificially recreate that small production line taste on a large production line. So big shame. Sorry to end it on a bad note there.
It's all good.
Right.
Super. All right. We'll look forward to more comments from the wonderful listeners. And
yes, definitely. Please comment below, and also please recommend this. I know it's just two relatively old men, let's face it, we are waffling about the Wessex countryside, but we are passionate about this, and it looks like our listeners are as well. So feel free to spread the word about Wessex Ways, and the more ideas we can get in the comments as well, the more we can do. We're never short of things to talk about, but it would be nice to be guided by you. Thank you very much. Okay.
Super. All right, we're done, I think, Hedley.
Cheers, everybody.
Yep.
Speak to you next time. Have a good time. Cheers. Bye-bye.